some of us might be an older generation. If spiritual is the best word, or just journey to understanding what life is about and how to live it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both.
Yeah.
So where would you like to begin?
I think where I'd like to begin is what kind of started me on this path. Growing up, my best friend, whenever I would stay over her house, like say on a Saturday night, when we were in elementary school, middle school, every Sunday morning, if I stayed there, we'd go to church with her family. And my family wasn't really we didn't go to church regularly. But it was nice because I got to go with my friend, and then she went to CCD afterwards, and I just kind of hung out with her, and I picked up some of the Catholicism teachings in that way. But what really made a footprint in my life was years later, and I think it was in high school or maybe early college, I read the book Life of Pi. And this book, the short story it's a synopsis of this man's journey through his own spirituality, through his finding different religions that speak to him. He is born, I believe, a Buddhist. His mother's a Buddhist, and he finds Christianity at a young age, I think 11. And he moves on and converts to Muslim, and then later on in his life to Judaism. And he becomes this teacher of religious studies. And the book is about this incredible journey that he goes on. He is in a shipwreck, and how he channels God and speaks to God and uses his experience to interpret God. That's my interpretation of the book. And
yes.
I'm rereading it right now, so I just started it last week. But the reason I bring that up is because my spiritualness, I don't believe comes from one thing or one practice at this time. When I read that book, it was the first book that opened me to the option of seeking different religions and learning from them. And what I've learned through that is the connectedness through many religions. Of course, they're all different, but I think of myself more as a spiritual person, less as a religious person. So it's been really interesting since then just to kind of dip my toe into different practices so far.
And so you did begin in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing from your parents?
No, my mom and dad both went to Catholic school growing up, and they talked to us about God. It was more so if we wanted to go to church, they would happily bring us to church. We did on a few occasions. We went for Christmas, and I went to CCD a few times, but...
And what does that stand for?
Oh, what does CCD stand for? I don't remember. Catholic? I don't know.
Okay, good.
But it's basically like you have church in the morning, and then the kids go to CCD afterwards to learn about the teachings of God and the interpretations of the Bible.
Okay, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I became baptized Catholic when I was 25, so I didn't know any of this earlier stuff.
Really? Yeah, I don't think... So that was my first introduction to religion, and then the book, The Life of Pi, and then really my spiritual journey, I believe, began when I was in college. I had a close friend pass away my junior year of college, and so that obviously made me question a lot of things about death, what happens to us afterwards.
And what do you think?
I believe in reincarnation. I also believe that death is like a veil. I believe that people who have died are close to us. We just can't see them. It's like being in another room.
Yeah, all these wonderful beliefs. And who know it? And people didn't teach this to you, or what?
So no, my aunt and uncle, my aunt Elaine and Uncle Ricky, they were the ones that have always been my spiritual teachers.
Oh, I see. They're very staunch Catholics, right?
Christians, no.
Oh, not Catholics?
Nope, not Catholic. No, they're Christians. But Elaine had a very similar spiritual journey. She, wanted to know a lot about all the different religions. And she grew up, I think she grew up Catholic or Christian. I can't remember precisely, but she's the one that really opened me up to spirituality, about how you can be religious and you can be spiritual. You don't need to be both, or you don't need to abide by a single religion.
And you were young when you met her, yes?
Yeah.
How old?
I think I was 6 or 7.
Oh, my.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how we got connected, because her uncle was my student when he was in Norfolk prison. Mm-hmm. He was my writing student, and he became so good that he was on the front cover of, did you know this, Boston Globe magazine?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes. And I might have told you this. When he got out of prison, I think I told you this, but maybe not. When Rick Marinicak got out of prison, it was hard, of course, to get work. Mm-hmm. So one of the few jobs perhaps he could get was to help dig the Ted Williams tunnel.
Yes,
you know that.
I knew that, yep.
Yeah. And so when the tunnel was collapsing, part of it one day, and they pulled him out, he said, "Wait, I have to get my journal." So you knew him and his wife after he was out of prison, or did you know him?
I knew him while he was in prison.
Oh, you did? Oh, so we might have.
But I was a child. I was like a baby.
So, at an age of about 6, Elaine and Ricky are teaching you about God?
I don't think it... No. Maybe they did, but it didn't stick... I wasn't open to the teaching or ready for it, I believe, until I was probably 18.
Wow.
And so that's when... we always say that they just started kind of... I feel like they say that they just started planting little seeds. And just little seeds of curiosity, and then I would ask questions, and then we would discuss about it, just very open. And then I went on my own journey from that. I got really into yoga and taking yoga, and then Reiki, and just like other forms of energy healing. And then with that, I discussed with Elaine and Ricky about that, and about, other energy beings, fairies, things that we don't see or are out there. And then that's...
Oh, and they would talk about that too?
Oh, yeah.
See, I don't know them either.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't.
Yeah.
I was a student. I don't think Ricky and I have had a conversation yet.
Yeah, Ricky's the one that taught me all about fairies and...
No!
Oh, yeah.
Whoa! Oh, I love this more.
Mm-hmm. So so I've always been very connected to nature, and so that's really been my foundation from there, is exploring religions or spirituality and what that means now.
It's a hard question for me. I had a similar journey. I'm not sure I could answer this question. I probably should. How does it influence or impact my nights and day? Oh, I can answer one easy answer. When I am lost, when I am crying, help me, help me, help me. I can, if I wait long enough, usually around 3 hours under the covers in the morning, I will have something come to me that is beyond me, that will help. I might have a frightening experience, like my father was a fireman, and I could imagine an axe chopping my neck off, and then I would stay with it, feel somewhat hopeless. And then maybe after 3 hours, I would hear my father saying, took that long, get out of your head and into your heart. And all the self-attack would lift and go away. So that would be one example of how these beliefs you're talking about help me. And for yourself?
For myself, similar, I worry. So I can get into these worry tornadoes where I worry about the people that I love, something happening to them.
You're so good. I'm worried about how to survive the morning. You are so much better.
No, it's not about being better. It's just, not at all. It's just, I think that I have a hard time. I always think to myself with control. I have a hard time with control. I like to be in control, or I like to I have to identify what's within my control and what's out of my control.
Okay, I'm going to keep asking you these questions.
Yeah.
Writing teacher that I am.
Please.
So we need an example of both.
Okay, so my example is, for example, when Kevin is driving.
And tell people who Kevin is.
Kevin is my partner,
yep.
who I love dearly.
I do too. I don't know him either.
But when he is driving, when I lived in New Hampshire, for example, for the past 2 years, and we were about 15 minutes apart, and he would be driving up to come and visit me, and say if it was snowing or raining, I know that he's a good driver. I know that he is a safe driver. I know that he is a smart person, but I would be so tight with worry, thinking about, oh my God, I hope that he's okay. I hope that there's other drivers. I would pray for his safety to get from point A to point B, for the safety of his car, for the safety of the people around him. Just because, and as I say, I get burrowed in my head with worry, and it helps me to just recite these prayers, or to just,
Tell example again, what prayer?
I mean, it's my own. I just say, I pray to God for the safety that for Kevin's safety, that he, on his drive from Boston to Durham.
This is very beautiful. Yeah. Oh my.
So that does.
Did I do that for my friend Michelle? No. No.
You still can.
No.
There's always time.
There's time.
Yeah, but that I mean, every morning I say that. I say prayers in my head, and I list everybody that I can, and I add on people every day for their health, safety, and happiness. And
it's very, oh my Lord, it's so refreshing to be with a healthy human being. And you say these out loud or to yourself?
I whisper them to myself.
Oh, you whisper them out. Mm-hmm. So if someone was around, they might hear. Is that true?
Kevin hears it every morning.
Oh, so you hear these. Very nice. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was you. I wanted another example of when maybe you gave that. Maybe that's enough. So I understand that very much. Oh, that's very beautiful.
I can think of another one. What was your question again? How is it?
I think it was how you talked about being in control and not being in control, if I remember.
Mm-hmm. I mean, another piece that just pops into my head is I'm starting a new job on Monday, and there's a license that you have to go through, these licensing process, and I don't have control over if the licensing department gets it done in a week or 10 days.
That's what then?
My license. Sorry, that I get my license.
They have to just do it.
Yeah, so I did it, but it's out of my hands.
Yes.
So I trust, and I just pray, and I just kind of let go and trust that I will get it in time for me to start after my orientation next week.
Yes, I understand. Now, you trust in
the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, the higher power. I trust in those people that they'll get it processed. I trust that I'll have it in time, that it'll all work out.
Yes, so there's a lot. It's not just God or
right. Yeah,
it's people.
But it's how people interact with the process. Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah.
Because it's beyond your control.
Mm-hmm. I've done everything that I can control. I've put in all the paperwork. I've gone to all the appointments that I need to go to. And now I wait.
I love all of it. Well, any questions? Even of yourself? Not necessarily of me.
I guess my question for you is, where did you begin? in your spiritual journey?
Wow. I'll just give a beginning answer. And one I didn't even know it was a spiritual journey. But I'm 18 years old. There's two answers to this. I'm at a summer camp, and I'm my first year as a counselor. And I had a crush on the boating dock counselor. I still remember her name. If you ever see this and you're alive, I'd love to hear from you. Ina Geduldig.
Wow, what a name.
I still remember your name. And I maybe a little of your face. I think you had a big nose. And I played tennis with you once and so much wanted to win. I thought if I didn't win, I wasn't man enough at 18. And I wasn't man enough when I had a day off to ask you to, let's go for a walk together. I didn't do it. I went alone to the baseball field. This is a sad story. And I had an art pad, one of those big art pads and these big black pencils. And it's a hot sun. I'm alone on the pitcher's mound. And I take the black pencil, it's really like a crayon almost, but it's black, covering even like it's an art pencil. And I write down what is to be done. This is a strange, it wasn't even what should I do. It seemed that without having any religious upbringing whatsoever, religion, at least where I was growing up, was like the horse and carriage. It wasn't even that you weren't religious. No one would ask you, do you believe in horses and carriages? Mm-hmm. It was just they were getting away from, this was a Jewish community, the old religion of, very prescribed actions. The Holocaust had happened. God did not intervene. So it was not really worth talking. It wasn't even talked about. It wasn't even the
religion.
Right. Mm-hmm. Or spirituality. Zero. This was in the 1950s. Mm-hmm. So for some reason I wrote what is to be done, but I didn't believe in an answer. Mm-hmm. But that started me writing journals, which helped. Mm-hmm. And the one other event was when I was in high school, a little younger than this. My high school teacher, I remember her name too, Mrs. Harkness, who was a widow by this time. And she did what you're probably not allowed to do in high school anymore. She took us for a weekend to a Quaker retreat house. Mm-hmm. Pendle Hill. I remember all of these words. I forgot so many other things. And I even remember, to be a man then, might have been in his 20s, in a flannel shirt, felt like a real guy. I don't know why. I don't think I wore flannel. And he would take us into a room with benches on it. And he said, we sit here in silence for an hour. And we believe there's an inner light in all of us, like the sunlight. We're made out of sun, like trees. And this inner light is God, one of the forms of God, and can speak to you if you listen carefully. And I thought that was nice and ignored it for my 4 years in college.
Mm-hmm.
When I went away to the university and was lonelier than ever, I went to a Quaker meeting. Why? And they, of course, talked about the inner light and God and everybody. And there were nice words. And it was nice being in a group. And the greatest of gifts was I discovered that there was a me underneath me.
How so?
I mean, I was trying very hard, as many teenagers do, to get along and try to, how can I, and a lot of trying, not comfortable fitting in. Yeah, I think you might understand. I can see it. And Quaker meeting taught me there's another me inside beside this trying person. And it was a good voice. It might have said that it was the Word of God, but it sounded also like me.
Like an eternal soul of you.
That's a nice way of putting it. Or if you wanted to go psychological, and there are all ways of, I think what you said is true.
You can always go psychological.
What?
You can always go psychological.
Yes, that I had a crushed nature, a crushed self, hiding, that wanted to come out. And Quaker House helped both me coming out and believing there was a God that could help me in all my confusion. What a gift.
It's beautiful.
Oh, what a gift. Mrs. Hartness, oh my, what a gift. And thank you, Quakers. I'm still a member here, though I don't go. I'm going to a dance at Quaker House, which you and Kevin are invited to, and our audience.
Yeah, when is that?
The third Saturday of every month.
Okay.
During the year. From 7:30 to 9:30, there's dances of universal peace.
I love that. Okay.
Have you been?
No, never. You did tell me about this, though.
So we can go together.
Yeah.
Okay.
This September.
This September. It's circle dancing, and they're Sufis. And they believe we're all God. And I think they might believe, which I do believe, that everything is God. And we have dances and we hug each other and try to feel the divinity that we're all made of.
That's beautiful. Michael, I love that your story with the Quaker meeting, that you first found God within yourself. You felt God.
Yes, it's thank you. I love your interpretations of these. It wasn't as healthy. It was an arrogance. I had a choice between being a lonely, confused boy talking to himself, crying if anybody asked him where he was from, remembering my youth, help, help. Or I could have a direct line to God.
There you go.
And I could forget at times I was this lonely boy and think, without any reason, God has singled me out. And I would need help in doing anything. Should I eat the ice cream?
Should I eat the ice cream?
I would hear whether to eat or not. I would just hear a voice whenever I asked. It was very helpful.
Good.
Oh my, I still at times now, when I don't know what to do and say I'm lost, okay, and I'll be a good boy. Do I think it's God now or me now? This is fortunately not the show to talk about that. Okay, so that's how I began.
Quakers.
That's
somebody that that's one area where I want to go to a Quaker meeting. I think we've talked about this.
Oh,
before.
so we'll go. You, Kevin, and I will go.
I would love to go.
Any Sunday morning.
My mom wants to go though too.
I'd love her.
Yeah.
Is she around?
She's coming up the 17th.
Oh, that was so Saturday night she can go to Quaker House to Dances of Universal Peace.
Great.
And Sunday, if we want to, we can go to, or unless you're staying for more than a week.
No, she's staying Saturday to Monday.
Oh, then Sunday morning we can go to Quaker House.
Great.
Wow. I never go.
Yeah.
I never go now.
She really wants to go because Pennsylvania is like a Quaker settlement.
Yes, it started by Quakers.
Yep. So growing up, we have a lot of Quaker schools. We have a lot of Quaker houses, homes, meeting houses.
And I'll meet your mom twice.
Yep. There you go. Mom, get ready.
And her partner will be with her.
Yep.
Great.
And my sister.
Wow.
The whole family.
I wonder if we can. Oh, you guys only have one. Oh, she'll have a car.
We have 2 cars.
Oh, good. So so I think Quaker meeting. We'll get the time. Is 10:30 Sunday morning.
Okay, perfect.
And it's an hour of sitting.
Great.
Last time I went, was not comfortable. I think I will be this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a potluck lunch.
Oh, nice. That sounds lovely.
Wow.
Great. We'll have to do a show after that.
Oh, on Wednesday, yes.
I'll have to talk about it.
Oh, you're on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the first Wednesday in...
No.
Oh, no, the Wednesday after the 19th.
Mm-hmm. 22nd?
I'll see if I'm free. If not, that the week after.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
I'll be free. Well, that's half of our show.
Yep.
And what have we accomplished?
My question is, so right now, I'm trying to read, or I'm attempting the Gospel of John from the Bible.
Yep.
And I find it challenging.
Yes.
Is it okay? Because I'm reading it, and I see why people have Bible study groups. Because I get through a paragraph, and I don't know if you ever had this when you're reading, that you read something and you stop, you're like, wait a minute, I just read something, but I don't even know what I just read. It's a lot of interpretation for me. It's a lot of older language.
I have some of it with me now.
Really?
Yes, we can. I have a book because I thought, what did I think? Oh, because it has Tao in it.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, we can begin with the famous beginning. Maybe that won't do the trick. I think I'm going to show it to you. But I love the way you're looking at it. It's like, I don't quite understand it, but there's a respect you have for it. Mm-hmm. It's very touching. It's very, I think, not usual around here.
I don't know. I mean, I'm curious. I'm a very curious person when it comes to spirituality, but I'm also just curious, like, I want to read the Buddhist teachings. I would like to read the Tao, the Bhagavad Gita.
Yes, exactly. No, you're not.
And it's more so because I want to know what people believe and why, and to see the similarities across the religions. My ultimate belief is I don't think that we'll ever know. I think that just as a humble human, we're never going to know the answer to many things.
Yes.
But it helps us to interpret the world around us in every day in the present moment. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if they have this by... No, I don't think they have this by gospel. So John begins with the famous words, in the beginning was the Word, And in Greek it's logos, which is very different.
What's logos mean?
It's like the order of the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything seems to be ordered.
Location.
What?
Logos, like location?
No, logos like logical.
Oh, logos. I said
yes,
logos.
sorry.
Logos. Okay.
So that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And the Word was God. And everything that came to be through the logos. And that logos has become a man. So I have been moved by Christians like Meister Eckhart, who said, God became human so humans could become God. He wasn't the first either.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So that is...
Who is that, Meister Eckhart?
He was a mystic in the 1200s.
Okay.
He was so... Forgive me for saying this. So let me get on screen.
Oh, sorry.
No, it was me. He was a mystic, and he said he was so good that they were going to excommunicate him. Forgive me for saying that.
Okay.
That he was just too radical
Mm-hmm.
for the church at the times. You know, because if you say God became human so humans could become God, that seems to take away from some church members that only Jesus is God.
Right.
And in the Hebrew scriptures, everybody can be sons and daughters of God, or are sons and daughters of God.
So it's too radical for the times.
Too radical for the time, maybe even for this time.
Mm-hmm. In some places, maybe.
So, but that's one way of interpreting. See these two interpretations, the Gospel of John. Okay, Jesus is God.
Mm-hmm.
Or, yes, Jesus is God, but also Kelly and even Michael and you who are watching. We're all sons and daughters of God.
So that's both the Gospel of John. They say both of those things?
John just says, no, this is my interpretation, and or Eckhart's interpretation.
Right.
John just says Jesus was God.
Mm-hmm.
And Meister Eckhart interprets that to mean, what use is it of us to understand these words if we don't take it personally and for ourselves?
Right.
I mean, Meister Eckhart even said, what's the use of reading about the virgin birth unless we're being born from purity every moment?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Are you practicing, do you practice, what's the word I'm looking for? Judaism? Or were you raised Jewish?
I certainly wasn't raised Jewish. I went to Israel for 3 years.
You did? I didn't know
in order
that.
to learn who I was.
Wow.
Or learn, I don't think I would have even said who I was. To learn what Judaism was about.
Mm-hmm.
I lived during the Yom Kippur War, which there's a movie out right now I saw last week, Golda.
Golda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is about, I didn't realize at the time I could have been killed during the Yom Kippur War. I was a good boy and went to an institute for the blind and volunteered because the worker was off fighting the war. So I learned to be Jewish in Israel. What a gift that was. These are all such gifts. They can kill you, but they're gifts.
They're beautiful.
Catholicism is an amazing gift, but it killed me.
Mm-hmm.
I should do one at a time. So I needed all these things, but I'm not remotely as healthy as you are. Maybe, or I wasn't. That's just, maybe I'm getting there. I'm going to grow up and be like Kelly. But, I mean, since we're saying such nice things about religion, let me tell you the dangers.
Mm-hmm.
So Catholicism almost killed me.
How so?
With even the beautiful words, love your neighbor as yourself. And I began, confused boy that I was, trying to love you. I would help you move if you needed help moving. I would visit children dying in hospitals.
Wow.
I went to what were called insane asylums and followed a woman when they let her out to a halfway house till they kicked me out because I think she was in love with me, and they said it was upsetting. But I tried to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, was that a mistake? I didn't get to know me first.
Mm.
And it says one of the great rabbis of Jesus' time in Israel said, Rabbi Hillel, and all the colleges and universities in the country have a house called Hillel House,
Mm-hmm.
where Jews are present, where Jews can gather together and dance and go to services. And Hillel said, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't take, just like the children on the airplane with a parent,
Yep.
put your mask on first. And that changed things. And then he said, if I'm only for myself, what am I for? Don't
Mm-hmm.
stop there.
You just start with yourself.
Yes, when I really grow up, I can be like you and care about other people.
Mm-hmm. But I think that too, you can care about other people too much that you do. My partner Kevin always has to remind me I have to take care of myself.
Yes,
before I take care of
I
others.
needed to learn that. And Hillel adds to that, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? If I'm only for myself, what am I for? And he simply adds, if not now, when?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't listen to this now, right now, when are you going to? It's not just to hear the nice words.
Mm-hmm.
Now. Be yourself, but not only for yourself. Now.
Some would say if you don't listen to it now, you have to come back in another life and keep learning the same lessons.
You see, you're kinder. Hello said, if you don't listen now, when will you? So, Judaism helped save me from my bad interpretation of Catholicism.
Mm-hmm. When did you go to Israel?
1971 to 74.
How old were you?
I was 30.
Oh, okay. And so, what made you go there? Because you didn't you didn't have it while you were growing up. It was a part of it.
I think I had effectively got myself kicked out of graduate school and got a master's, which was a miracle.
Wow.
Thank you, University of Chicago, for giving me a master's on love in Plato, one of Plato's dialogues, the Phaedrus. The title of my thesis was Loving and Puzzling Nothing. And you gave it to me. Thank you, Herman Sinaiko, who has since left us. We would have, oh, was that a gift? I'm not sure I appreciated it at the time. I was in the Committee on Social Thought. I was blessed to be admitted after not wanting to be in philosophy. And we would have 3 students meet with one teacher for a year reading one 30-page dialogue of Plato, word by word.
And discussing.
And discussing it for hours.
That's kind of nice.
Oh, was that a gift? He taught me how to read. There was a great danger which could have killed me. All these wonderful places could kill you. Catholicism, caring for the other before me. The University of Chicago lived the life of the mind. One of the great chancellors, Robert Hutchins, said whenever he had an urge to exercise, he lay down until it passed. So Israel taught me body. I worked on farms.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in construction even for 3 days. So it was enough.
You can count it.
But farms, I worked for 9 months. That was very helpful. Worked with blind people. Did theater. Very physical theater. I played Samson and Marinicak. I played the Tower of Babel. I was a tower.
Wow.
So I was trying to scrape off the University of Chicago and Catholicism, actually. Even though I still love going to Catholic Church when I can. Mm-hmm. And I, of course, love Jesus and love God. I've learned, well, we better get back to you. But I've learned, probably like you, that there's a difference between religion and spirituality. Mm-hmm. And spirituality says, we just read that in the Tao before I don't know. Let's see what we can find at this moment. See where we're guided.
See what lands.
What does that mean?
Like, when I read certain novels or like the Tao one day, I'll read it again the next day, and something in that passage will click with me that the day before it didn't.
Oh, and again, with your uncle's teacher, mm-hmm. we needed the example, if you can remember. It might be hard to remember.
I know, it is hard to remember.
We have the Tao with us.
I have it here.
Oh, you have it? Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to read this.
Yes.
It's number 76 from the Tao Te Ching by Stephen Mitchell. And it goes, men are born soft and supple.
Very slow.
Okay.
In fact, we just read this, right?
Nope, this is a different one.
Okay. Men are born soft and supple. It's very nice, men. I like it, because he'll do women too. But men are born. Good, go ahead.
Dead, they are stiff and hard.
I can relate. Deaf, they are stiff and hard.
Mm-hmm. Plants are born tender and pliant.
Plants are born tender and much nicer than men.
Dead, they are brittle and dry.
Oh, mine. This is a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Dead, they are brittle and dry. Yes.
Thus, whoever is stiff and inflexible.
Thus, whoever is stiff and inflexible
is a disciple of death.
Is a disciple of death.
Whoever is soft and yielding.
Whoever is soft and yielding.
Is a disciple of life.
Wow.
The hard and...
I'm going to repeat it. Yep. I'm not sure I agree. Whoever is soft and yielding is a disciple of life.
Mm-hmm. The hard and stiff will be broken.
The hard and stiff will be broken.
The soft and supple will prevail.
This is very beautiful. The soft and supple will prevail.
So to answer your question...
This is in this?
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question...
Oh, no, that's me.
Oh, that's it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so tell me what this meant one day and then the next.
So one day, I had a yoga teacher when I was, my yoga teacher taught us that in yoga you have to stay supple but strong. So I was thinking that's how I try to move through life, is being supple and strong. And that is, when I was reading this, I was like, okay, I can interpret that and I can practice that by taking this reading and yoga off my mat. One interpretation. Another interpretation that was recent is that when my father recently passed away in May, and it's September now. So there are days when I felt I was grief-ridden. I was very stuck and anxious and very sad. And when I read this, it reminded me that I need to be more flexible. I need to open up that sadness. I need to sit with it. So it's very, I mean, so that's what I say when I say that it depends on how it lands that day. And that's, for me, why I do daily readings. So this, I think, has many interpretations depending on how you wish to interpret it. If you want to interpret it literally, word by word, or kind of what it brings up in your own mind and
beautiful.
How it makes you feel.
Love it. Wow. Thank you for the example.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm going to try to do more.
Rick would be proud of you. Rick Soroko. Well, what else?
Well, I can finish the story of how we met, or how we are related.
Oh, you and I? Mm-hmm. Go for it.
You began at the beginning of the show, but 10 minutes left. So my my father passed away from head and neck cancer, and while he was getting his treatments, a lot of his neighbors had to care for him, and he lives in Florida, so we were very far apart. So
he was alone, really.
Yeah, he lived alone.
Wow.
With his cat, but he was very independent. Very, like, he was social. He'd go around.
And his first name?
Bob.
Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he was very independent. Very much took care of himself, healthy, except for this disease, obviously. So we relied on his neighbors for a great many of things, and I said to myself, one day, if I'm able to repay this kindness and be that kind of neighbor, I will do that. And so I made that vow to myself and to that opportunity. My father passed away. A couple weeks later, we found out that Michael had head and neck cancer.
A sinus cancer.
Sinus cancer.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, okay, this is my opportunity. I want to help him.
Wow, lucky me. Lucky me.
Well, because you live on the third floor, and
yes.
you couldn't go down to do your errands. You couldn't do certain things. So I was running errands for Michael, and one day he's writing me a check, and he asked me to spell my last name. So I recite it for you. I spell it out, and he looks at it, and he goes, huh, wow. I knew somebody with the same last name who did 10 years in prison. That's my uncle. My father's younger brother, he did 10 years in prison at Norfolk, where Michael was his first teacher there, and he took many of Michael's courses, and Michael taught a creative writing course. My uncle took that course and ended up graduating with his bachelor's and master's degree in writing, and has since then written a number of books and novels. And
when I was on the front page of the Boston Globe magazine.
Yep. So when he said that, it was just like worlds collided, and that's how.
And you can buy Rick Barron. We can't advertise, so this isn't an advertisement, but you could go to Rick Marinic's. Google Rick Marinicak, and you can find out more about him.
They're great books.
Yeah.
So that's how we are related, without blood, marriage, any of the normal relations.
And it seems like, I can still feel it peculiar, different than my nieces and nephews. And maybe the Tao wouldn't allow this, that we're family, and maybe we're forcing that. Because when Kelly told me that, I said, whether we like it or not, we're family. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even think Rick and I were. Rick is a very loyal man. Mm-hmm. I don't see him much at all. I don't think we've ever had a conversation. He comes to my Labor Day party. But it feels like we're family, even if we don't know each other. Mm-hmm. It's a funny. I don't have children, so I adopt people. Mm-hmm. I adopted my roommate, who's finally, we've been living together. It's the beginning of the 7th year, and he calls me his father. because his father was very distant. So I do that. I love that, adapting. Adults often.
Good. Well, now you're an uncle now.
I'm an uncle.
To me.
And there was a little boy Masha was there, and I became her grandfather.
Right.
And I'll also be the grandfather, I don't know if it'll happen, of her son, who was 2, who doesn't know English much yet. He speaks Mandarin and Russian.
Wow.
His father's language and his mother's.
Incredible.
It'll be quite something. So that's how we met. So, now what do we believe about that? It seems a synchronicity. I don't know if you know about that word or not.
Yep, we've talked about it.
I did. See, I'm getting older. I'm your old uncle who forgets things.
I think it's synchronicity. I also think it's like one way to interpret is like the butterfly effect, where one thing, my uncle, he was a state trooper and he switched and was in the Irish mob, and all of these little movements where he ended up in prison and he just and he met you. These happened years and years and years ago. So for me, that it's like a ripple effect where one event occurred and now here we are. And it's all because of that one event that at that time was very negative. I mean, nobody...
Yes, if he hadn't been caught,
yeah,
we wouldn't know
where
each
would
other.
we be?
We would not know each other.
Two people that are very much separate entities from that part of his life until he got caught.
Well, he would still be your uncle.
Oh, yeah, he'd still be my uncle.
But he wouldn't be my friend.
And we wouldn't have this connection.
I'm even not sure. I mean, we are friends, but life is funny. We do not know each other. We have, I don't think Rick would understand this. I have a deep admiration for him.
And he does for you.
Yes, and he doesn't understand who I am either. That we don't have a clue.
But that makes me think, too, a lot of families, sometimes a lot of people in their families don't understand other members of their family.
No, my father didn't understand me. I didn't understand him.
So maybe it's not all that.
I didn't understand anybody, but I thought I did. I thought I did.
And we also live in the same building, which I forgot to mention.
Yes, I'll be sad when you have a baby and move out.
But not anytime soon.
No,
not yet.
We will see. But you're just starting your new job, which is as a
speech pathologist.
And what exactly does that do?
So, speech pathologists can do many things. They can work in schools. They can work in outpatient therapy settings or in hospitals, and I will be working in a hospital in the inpatient. So if something traumatic happens to an adult, such as a stroke or a brain injury or a number of things, and they come in with speech or swallowing problems, I will work with them.
Wow, it's a hard job.
It's a great job. I'm very excited.
And great because?
I get to help people. I get to help people who have lost their ability to either communicate to their loved ones, and I help them to regain that ability or put them on the right track to do so, or people who have had something happen to them, such as cancer, or a number of things where they can't swallow foods, liquids that they so enjoy.
Yeah, I had some of this is close to my cancer, which stopped me from...
A lot of cancers, a lot of head and neck cancers, we see that.
What a nice person we have here. Remember people who are down on the younger generation. Look what we have.
We're good people.
Wow. We have a minute. I'm tempted to ask you what you believe politically.
Ooh, that's a tough question.
In a minute and 20 seconds.
Politically?
Or what's that? Maybe not politically. Well, what's happening what do you think of this world you're in?
I think it's complicated. I think the world has always been complicated. I think now more so with you have access to so much information. It's too much in my opinion that I I think that we have to take care of the world. We have to take care of the people in it. And whatever that means, I honestly don't know much about politics, I should say. But I just believe that we have one Earth. We have to take care of the Earth. We have to take care of natural areas. We have to take care of the people. We have to do things that are sustainable.
Oh, so you don't seem to be bothered by the horrors of climate change, nuclear war, AI.
No, I am, but I try not to focus so much on the negative versus how can we solve the problem.
Wow.
Because it's easy to focus on fear, but that's not where you're going to find solutions.
Well, we don't have time for examples, Lucky Kelly. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy fall.
Thank you.